Imagine a Middle-earth where the echoes of Fingolfin's valiant stand never rang across the barren wastes of Thangorodrim. A world where the mighty High King of the Noldor did not challenge the Dark Lord Morgoth in single combat. What would have become of the Noldor, the siege of Angband, and the fate of Middle-earth itself? Fingolfin's challenge occurred in year 455 of the First Age, during the Dagor Bragolach, the Battle of Sudden Flame. Morgoth, having unleashed rivers of fire and broken the long siege of Angband, sought to decimate the resistance of the Eldar and their allies. Overcome by despair and wrath, Fingolfin rode to confront Morgoth, a decision that would shape the narrative of the First Age. But what if Fingolfin had not ridden to Angband? Would his survival have changed the tide of the war? Would his leadership have prevented the splintering of the Noldor? This alternative history offers a glimpse into the possibilities of Tolkien's world, illuminating how one act of defiance resonates through the ages. Without his fateful duel with Morgoth, Fingolfin's leadership might have remained a unifying force for the Noldor. In the original timeline, his death marked the waning of hope among the Eldar and deepened divisions within their ranks. Fingon, his valiant son, inherited the mantle of leadership, but lacked the influence his father commanded. This led to fractured alliances and misaligned strategies. If Fingolfin had survived, he might have spearheaded a coordinated effort to strengthen the siege of Angband. Historically, the siege began in year 60 of the First Age and persisted until the Dagor Bragolach. Fingolfin's wisdom and strategic acumen could have reinforced the alliances between the Noldor and other peoples of Beleriand, particularly the Sindar and the dwarves of Belegost. His presence might have mitigated the tensions that often arose among these groups. Fingolfin's leadership could have resulted in a swifter response to Morgoth's growing power. The Dagor Bragolach's devastation was partly due to the Noldor's underestimation of Morgoth's capabilities. Fingolfin's strategic foresight might have prevented the surprise and disarray caused by Morgoth's fiery assault, altering the trajectory of the war. The Edain, the houses of men allied with the Elves, relied heavily on the leadership of the Noldor. Fingolfin's continued guidance might have solidified their loyalty and bolstered their strength. This unity could have provided a more formidable defense against Morgoth's forces, particularly in key battles like the Nirnai of Arnoidad. One cannot overlook the looming shadow of Feanor's legacy. Fingolfin's survival might have tempered the fiery ambitions of his nephews, the sons of Feanor. Without the despair that followed his death, the Noldor may have had greater resolve to resist the destructive oath of Feanor, potentially averting catastrophes like the kinslaying at Doriath and the sack of Sirion. In this alternate reality, the narrative shifts from individual heroism to the enduring strength of unity and leadership. The High King's survival creates ripples through the histories of Beleriand, shaping alliances and strategies that may have strengthened the resistance against Morgoth. Fingolfin's death served as a symbolic blow to Morgoth, tarnishing his image of invincibility. The scars left by Fingolfin's blade, Ringil, became a permanent reminder of his vulnerability. In an alternate timeline, where Fingolfin refrains from challenging him, Morgoth emerges unchallenged, his aura of terror unbroken. As detailed in Morgoth's Ring, Morgoth's greatest weapon was not his armies, but the pervasive fear he instilled in his enemies. Fingolfin's challenge was a unique moment where the High King defied that fear, inspiring hope among the free peoples. Without this act of defiance, Morgoth's psychological dominion over his enemies would have deepened, potentially paralyzing their will to resist. Fingolfin's confrontation forced Morgoth to retreat for a time, nursing his wounds and strengthening Angband's defenses. Without this distraction, Morgoth could have deployed his forces more aggressively following the Dagor Bragolach. The Orcs and Balrogs, bolstered by Morgoth's confidence, might have launched further incursions into Beleriand, overwhelming key strongholds such as Hithlum and Nargothrond earlier in the war. Glaurung, the father of dragons, played a pivotal role in Morgoth's campaigns. First unleashed prematurely in year 260 of the First Age, Glaurung returned with devastating power during the Dagor Bragollach. If Morgoth had faced no challenges to his supremacy, he might have unleashed his dragons even earlier, shifting the balance of power decisively in his favor. Fingolfin's heroic sacrifice inspired songs and tales that galvanized the Noldor, reminding them of their purpose in Middle-earth. Without this moment of valor, despair might have spread unchecked. The absence of such a rallying point could have allowed Morgoth to exploit divisions among the Eldar, perhaps driving more into his service, as he did with Maeglin in Gondolin. In Tolkien's Legendarium, the Valar refrained from intervening directly in the struggles of Middle-earth during the First Age. Fingolfin's death might have served as a distant call to their conscience, a reminder of the sacrifices being made by the Noldor in defiance of Morgoth. Without this act, the Valar might have delayed their eventual intervention, prolonging Morgoth's reign of terror. The lack of Fingolfin's challenge thus creates a domino effect. Morgoth grows bolder and more destructive, while the Noldor and their allies face mounting despair. This shift underscores the critical balance of power in Middle-earth, where even a single event can alter the fate of nations. Without Fingolfin's duel, the history of Middle-earth takes a darker turn. The political, military, and emotional repercussions of his absence shape a grim alternate timeline. The Battle of Unnumbered Tears was a catastrophic defeat for the Free Peoples. Fingon led the Union of Maedhros, an alliance of elves, men, and dwarves, but treachery and Morgoth's overwhelming might ensured their downfall. With Fingolfin alive, this pivotal battle might have unfolded differently. Fingolfin's strategic brilliance and diplomatic strength could have solidified the Union, preventing the betrayal of Uldor the Accursed and his kin. The High King might have secured stronger commitments from the dwarves of Belegost and the men of Dorlomin, bolstering the Union's forces. His presence on the battlefield would also have inspired unity and courage, potentially changing the outcome of this decisive confrontation. Beleriand's geography was dotted with vital strongholds including Gondolin, Nargothrond, and Hithlum. Fingolfin's continued leadership could have fortified these realms against Morgoth's relentless onslaught. His experience and vision might have allowed the elves to anticipate and counteract the treachery of Maeglin, preventing the fall of Gondolin, one of the last bastions of hope. In Hithlum, Fingolfin's direct leadership might have deterred Morgoth's forces from gaining an early foothold. As a result, the region could have become a stronger base of resistance, preserving the Edain and ensuring that the House of Hador remained a formidable ally. The Oath of Feanor, which bound his sons to reclaim the Silmarils at any cost, wreaked havoc throughout the First Age. Fingolfin's authoritative presence might have countered their fiery ambition, preventing tragedies like the kinslayings and the destruction of Doriath and the havens of Sirion. A more unified Noldor, under Fingolfin's guidance, might have sought alternatives to the relentless pursuit of the Silmarils. This shift could have delayed or even prevented the fracturing of the Elven kingdoms, ensuring greater cohesion in the fight against Morgoth. Fingolfin's survival could also have had profound implications for the Edain. The House of Hador, the House of Haleth, and the House of Beorth looked to the Noldor for guidance and inspiration. Fingolfin's wisdom and charisma might have deepened their allegiance, resulting in a more coordinated resistance. With men standing firmer against Morgoth, the balance of power in Beleriand might have shifted significantly. The siege of Angband, which lasted for nearly 400 years, could have been prolonged with Fingolfin at the helm. His focus on defensive strategies might have slowed Morgoth's incursions, allowing the Free Peoples to consolidate their strength. In this alternate history, the Free Peoples of Middle-earth face a different, potentially brighter path, but one still fraught with peril. The fate of Beleriand hangs in the balance, shaped by the choices and resolve of its inhabitants. Without Fingolfin's death, the timeline of the First Age might extend beyond its recorded 583 years. His survival could have influenced the timing and nature of the War of Wrath. the cataclysmic conflict where the Valar finally intervened to overthrow Morgoth. Historically, this war was precipitated by Eärendil's voyage to Aman, where he pleaded for aid. Fingolfin's continued leadership might have hastened or delayed this intervention. If Fingolfin had managed to unite the Free Peoples under a stronger banner, their resistance might have worn Morgoth down even before Eärendil's journey. Alternatively, the despair caused by prolonged conflict might still drive Eärendil to Aman, but under different circumstances, with a potentially more robust coalition of allies awaiting the Valar's arrival. Fingolfin's enduring influence might also have reshaped the legacy of the Noldor. His wisdom, forged through years of hardship, could have led to a more balanced relationship between elves and men. The seeds of mistrust sown during the First Age would take root in later ages, but Fingolfin's unifying leadership might have delayed this schism, fostering stronger alliances that could withstand the trials of the Second and Third Ages. The doom of Mandos, the curse pronounced upon the Noldor for their rebellion and kinslaying, loomed over their endeavors throughout the First Age. Fingolfin's steadfastness and valor, paired with efforts to mend the rift with the Valar, might have mitigated the harshness of this judgment. Perhaps the Valar, seeing Fingolfin's unyielding resistance, would have softened their stance, offering the Noldor a chance for redemption before the War of Wrath. The ultimate defeat of Morgoth at the hands of the Valar led to the scattering of his servants. Sauron, his chief lieutenant, fled and later rose to power in the Second Age. A stronger, more cohesive resistance in the First Age, spearheaded by Fingolfin, might have cornered and eradicated Sauron along with his master. Without Sauron's influence, the history of the Second and Third Ages would unfold dramatically differently, sparing Middle-earth from the wars over the One Ring. Despite these potential triumphs, the tale of Middle-earth remains one of tragic beauty. Fingolfin's survival would not erase the sacrifices required to defeat Morgoth. Great heroes such as Fingon, Huor, and Húrin might still meet their fates. The lands of Beleriand might still be devastated, swallowed by the sea as the Valar's armies unleashed their wrath. Yet, in this alternate timeline, the courage and unity of the Free Peoples might endure as a lasting legacy. In Tolkien's world, every choice carries immense weight. Fingolfin's duel with Morgoth is a defining moment, a beacon of defiance that inspired generations. But the path not taken reveals its own truths. The power of leadership, the strength of unity, and the enduring hope that Middle-earth's peoples bring to their struggle against darkness.